Good morning, or good afternoon, or maybe it's good evening. I don't know. Depends on when you're looking at this. This is a short video about lesson plan feedback. Okay, so let's demystify this concept. So first of all, let me just bring you into Google Drive. So if you go into Google Drive and click in lesson plans, you will find this document. And this document, you will find an old version of the lesson plan that you're going to work on. Okay, this makes life so much easier, so much easier. So for today's example, I am having a look at, obviously it's important to know your code and to put in the correct code. So EN 30236 is M6 and it's semester 2. Okay. Now, you will need to change the year if it's not correct, and you'll put your name here. Okay. Make sure your name is there. Now, so all of this remains the same. Obviously, you need to here, if it's semester 1, it'll be weeks 1 to 20, for example. And this also changes. So like M6 has the least weeks, followed by M3, I think. So depending on your level will depend on the amount of weeks. All right. So then, okay, this all remains the same. No need to change anything. Make sure your name is here. Okay, and again, make sure this table here, learning management plan analysis, corresponds with the amount of weeks and the weeks where you have the exam. Okay, so make sure that's okay. Then moving on, again, make sure you have the correct code. Right, all of this, I'm happy to say you don't have to touch it. It's all correct. Course description, yes. All correct. Now, so we're going to keep scrolling down, hopefully. Yes, we are. Right. Learning unit. Okay, it all remains the same. Okay. Slow but sure, we will get there. We will get there, don't worry. So all of this now. So here we are, list of ICT used. Okay, again, make sure it corresponds with, make sure your holidays, summative test, holidays, week 9, week 10, final test, week 15. Obviously in the first semester that will be different. And then, okay, so here we go. Now, learning management plan, academic year, make sure the year is correct. The code is correct. Okay, make sure you have periods 1 and 2, week 1, time 2 periods, all of this. Right, now, so let's have a look at, so what you tick, the boxes that you tick depend very much on the content of the lesson plan. So it's important to quickly scan through the lesson plan. All right, so students are asked several probing questions about Greek and Latin root words. That's the engagement. Student-to-student interaction is encouraged by having them work in groups. So working in groups, we will be ticking a box to do with that. Observe and listen to the students as they interact. Have them do a warm-up activity from the document. Provide time for students to do the activities. So that's the exploration part of the lesson. Students are encouraged to use their common experiences to compare and contrast Thai and English wisdoms in terms of languages. Have them identify Greek and Latin root words. Help them understand the synonyms of each kind. That's the explanation. So students' attention on conceptual connections between the topic is focused. Students work as groups, so there's group work here to match the synonyms of the root words given. That's elaboration. And then students are assessed their understanding by playing a Kahoot game. Encourage students to assess their own progress. Okay, now, so do you see here where it says 5E learning cycle model? Well, that's engagement, exploration, explanation, etc. Okay, now this will change depending on the lesson. Okay, now if you're not familiar with 5E learning cycle model, I strongly recommend you Google it. So let's just have a look at it. You go into Google and you can read about it, or you can just simply look at an image and get some idea. So this will help your teaching. Okay, now let's go back to the document. Okay, so what boxes do we tick? Communication capability, absolutely. Thinking, yes. Problem solving within this lesson plan, yes. Capability in applying life skills, I've ticked that. And capability in technology application, yes. One reason for this is because we're using Kahoot in this lesson. Okay, now let's go forward. So dictionaries, yes, students, it's very possible that they will use dictionary and Kahoot. So we tick that box as well. I generally just put a line through quizzes and AC online because it hasn't been used in this lesson. Now again, remember 5E model. So we can apply what we're learning to real life. So we tick that box. We're also using students helping other students, so that's cooperative learning. We have them in there's some group discussion. There's also some group work. Okay. Now, so we leave that alone, then we come down here. Now, sometimes you'll see words likes to bounce around a little bit. So if you just click in there, it'll all come back to how it should be. Now, so here we have to add the students who passed and the students who didn't pass. So in my experience, 6-1 is a good class. So 90% of the students will have the knowledge and 10% will not. And then we go to, let's see, 6-8, 6-9, for example, tend to be, there's a bigger percentage of weaker students. So therefore we will put 80 in here and 20 over here. Okay. Now, within the lesson, we saw that we reviewed students' prior knowledge. So that box is ticked there. So how to solve the problem? How to solve the problem of these students not grasping. Okay. Now, the next area is skill. Now, as your process skill. So, as you know, a percentage of students, they might have the knowledge, but they can't actually use it. So, the skill numbers tend to be less than the knowledge numbers. So, for example, 61 is now 84. Okay. And 16, so 84% grasped what we were doing and 16 didn't. And 85, 15, and so on. And then the weaker class is 6-6, 75, 25. Okay. So how to solve the problem of some of the students not grasping what you're doing? So I ticked encourage them to listen, speak, read, or write, or let them criticize themselves the weak point in studying in that period and help them solve the problem. Okay. So now we're going down to desirable characteristics, and in this particular aspect, a vast majority of the students got it. Okay, so how to solve the problem about students who are not grasping the desirable characteristics. Point out the importance of that qualification is what I've ticked there. Now, the follow-up should reflect what you have ticked after each section here. So review students' prior knowledge, and then encourage them to listen, blah, blah, blah. Let them criticize themselves. Okay. And here, point out the importance of that qualification. So what I've written in the feedback is Greek root words like auto and bio are commonplace in today's day-to-day communication. So this familiarization of the concept helped the students grasp the content of the lesson. The group work resulted in a great sharing of prior knowledge. So that was the first box I ticked. And then the Kahoot game certainly went a long way to helping students to access their own progress. So up here I have ticked, I let them criticize themselves to weak points in studying in that period, help them solve that problem. So I used a Kahoot game to address that. Okay, so, and that's it. So every other lesson will be very similar. So don't forget, you know, in the next lesson, let's just have a look quickly. So this time it's an explicit teaching model. Again, Google that and have a look at what that means. All right. So it includes revision, teaching, what else? Practice under supervision and giving correction. So that's that teaching model. Okay. So I hope this has proved useful. Okay. So again, you know, please, if you're not sure of any of this, you can always reach out to your colleagues. Have a good one. Take it easy. Take care. Goodbye.